Hey guys, Shane McMurray from The Wedding Report. In this episode, I meet with Barbara, who is the owner of A Wedding Loft. They are a collaboration space for wedding professionals and small business owners located in Leesburg, Virginia. Great episode. Check it out. Barbara, thanks so much for doing this. Appreciate your time. Tell me about your business. Tell me where you guys are located. Give me your website address, your Instagram, any of the stuff you want to chat about online, all that good stuff.
All of it. Okay. Yeah. We are a collaboration destination for wedding professionals, female small business owners, and we are located in downtown historic Leesburg, Virginia. It's about 40 miles, give or take, with traffic outside of DC.
Okay.
And our website is aweddingloft.com, and you can follow us at A Wedding Loft on all the socials.
Nice.
So yeah, it's really nice to be here.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for joining me. So tell me about how you got, how did you even get started in like doing a space kind of thing? What was the idea there?
So I was in the wedding industry for about 12 years. I did graphic design and stationery printing, menus, escort cards, wedding invitations, save the dates, that whole thing. And as I was building my business, I noticed that there were just a lot of holes in the industry. For example, I wanted to be able to take a workshop on how to get my business license. And I could go to, to a college or, one of the learning annexes and learn all that, but specifically geared towards wedding pros or somebody starting the business like me, there just wasn't, right?
Right.
And then the same thing with all the other concepts that go into this space. Like we have photo studios. There are photo studios that exist, but not specifically geared towards women and growing their business. Conference space. We have co-working space too. So when I first started the concept, the co-working spaces like WeWork, the Wing, the Riveter, all of those weren't on the map yet. So it's nice to see that that kind of concept is booming and people are embracing it. So really it was just noticing all the holes and just seeing, well, how come we don't have, rent by the hour beauty stations? How come there's not a safe place that females can go and be around each other and do their daily work? Why isn't there a rent by the hour conference studio that's beautiful, right? Yeah. But one of the biggest things that I noticed was when I wanted to meet with a couple, I didn't have a place to do that outside of Starbucks or,
Yeah, which can get a little crazy, right? Like you're trying to talk about your wedding and there's, 50 people around drinking coffee and you want to be private. Yeah.
And that's like, even if the Wi-Fi works, right? So you're at the mercy of the environment. So it was really just developing all of those things and putting them in one space.
Nice.
And trying to figure out how to make that work. So,
how long have you been doing this?
So we actually opened up in November.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, which is crazy. We moved into this space and designed it how we wanted. And I think it was in August. And we did it was an open house, but it was basically like a proof of concept open house, right? Because I knew the idea would work, but I have a business partner. His name's Paul. And he's a little bit more of like the money, the rules, the regulations, where I'm a creative. So I'm like, free for everybody, and everybody gets to come and work, and we don't need rules and regulations. But so he really kind of grounds me. And so being able to sign a lease, because we rent this place, and I had to convince him that people actually wanted it. Full disclosure, I didn't know if people actually wanted it, because what people say they want versus what people pay for are two totally different things.
That is so true. I mean, that's so true. Like everyone says, hey, I want this, I want that, I want this. But when it comes down to like, well, okay, great. But you know what? That costs money. Let's put your money where your mouth is.
Exactly. Yeah. We're still, dealing with a couple of different elements inside the space with that. Is people will say, or women will say, yes, I want this. But when it comes down to actually implementing it, does it work? It depends on what it is. So Anyway, so we had a proof of concept open house, and that day we had 20 female creatives or wedding pros just literally try and hand me money and say, I want this so bad. But our business was actually inverted. So we didn't have a way to take their money. We didn't have any systems or processes. We knew we had an idea, and we knew that now that people wanted it, but getting, all the forms and the registration and an accounting system, like we didn't have that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
yeah. So for the past, it took us about 4 months to get up and running. During those 4 months, we had a bunch of like trial runs, dry runs. We let the members, we call them founding members now. There's 22 of them.
Nice.
But the founding members come and use the space. We had a bunch of consultations and photo sessions and small meetings happen here with the caveat of saying, you can come here and hold your consultation, but you need to be our guinea pig, right?
Yeah.
So, and I can talk kind of about how we got up to the actual business plan and stuff later. But basically what we said was, after your consultation, I want to be able to pick your brain of what worked, what didn't, of holding a consultation here, right? But
Yeah.
also I need to be able to talk to your couple after to see like what worked for them in terms of parking or like space or privacy or sound, right?
Right.
Logistic location, getting the meeting set up. So after that, after kind of working out the kinks, we were able to open to the public in November. So we've been,
Nice.
circle around to your original question, we've been open since November.
Yeah. So what did you learn from, what did you learn from businesses, the creatives that are working in the space, and then what did you learn from couples? Because I got to imagine it's either very similar or they had two different ideas.
Actually, it was very similar. It was nice to be able to have a place that you can come to and represent your business well, right?
Nice.
So as a wedding pro, you now have a location that fits whatever presence you've been offering online, right? So you have this beautiful website and you put all of this work into developing your brand and your product, right? And your delivery, but then you're meeting them at a Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of allowing your business to have this physical presence that matches everything else that goes into your business.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting that you said that, because I think that happens a lot, right? Like we invest all this time in a website and all this stuff, and then we have a Gmail account, right?
Yes.
Or we have a Hotmail account, right? Or we have some, and God forbid, an AOL account, right? Is our contact. I'm like, you need an email address that represents your business, right?
It's so true. And like, I actually have a couple of pastry chefs who just do like, and florists and hair and makeup girls that have just such incredible talent, right? And their product is so beautiful, but they don't even have a website because like, that's not in their,
I know.
do you know what I mean? And
I know. Yeah.
so being from a graphic design background, like it just hurts my eyes. So, but being in the space, they've, had the collaboration with other girls that is their talent, right? So they've been able to collaborate and trade for trade and, barter to get those things to allow their business to grow in kind of like a collaboration type of way.
Yeah, that's great. So,
but then on the bride side, to answer the other part of your question,
yeah.
The engaged couples, they really liked it because the location that we're in downtown Leesburg. I don't know if you're familiar with
Nope, but
Loudoun County, but we're in Loudoun County and we're right on the main strip, which is South King Street. And
nice.
So when they come down here, it's a historical district. So they get to see the buildings and there's a lot of adorable shops and restaurants that they can come and visit to. But again, it gives them a little bit of security and that they're meeting with a vendor that has this physical location, right? So they're automatically thinking, wow, like I'm meeting in this pretty space with a vendor that I'm interested in. So it just gives that perception, that accurate perception, right?
Yeah.
Of a business owner that kind of has their shit together. So
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah.
so, but also, we do actually, I know this is crazy, but like we have 100% booking rate here. So we've had over 100 consultations happen. And to my knowledge, every single couple that has come here has booked with their vendor.
Nice.
It may be it may be a factor of it being the pretty space, but also we work really hard to make sure that the vendors that are involved in the space are credible, right? And
Yeah.
they are good business owners.
Good business owners, good stewards, good professionals,
Right.
yeah, that makes sense. At least that you do that. Yeah.
My brand, right? So I
Yep.
represent my company by coming in here. So we make sure that everybody is of the same mind of collaboration and supporting each other, and not competitive and not they're for everybody. They're not just for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think makes the difference with you guys? Because you mentioned early on, like WeWork and some of the other ones that have these collaboration spaces. There's some here in town too that are collaboration spaces for tech companies and things like that. I think some of those are more geared towards tech companies, but how, if you look at that space and what they're doing, how would you say you guys compare?
I would say we're very similar in the fact that we are an incubator, right? Like, and that's kind of what from what I've noticed, the tech spaces is
Yep.
an incubation location for business growth. And that's pretty much what we are too. We are for figuring out how to make your business that much better.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that you talk shop, right? When you're in this space and you're mingling and you're among other female creatives, right? So you're just going to end up talking shop. So we and we actually have another co-working space that we are very close with that's about 20 miles away. And what we like to say is our bones are the same, but our market is different.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of collaboration, and it works really well between their space and our space because we have the photographers, right? We have the copywriters, we have the florists, everything that they need in order to make their business great, and then vice versa because they have the lawyers, the copyright or trademark females, so
Interesting.
it's been even a larger collaboration just outside of our space.
So do you feel like though that you set your space up to be more of a creative space versus a space like for lawyers or for even tech startups and things like that?
Yeah, exactly. It is. It's like I said, it's for wedding professionals, but female creatives, right? So
Yeah.
you have the photographers, we have the florists, the cake designers, the wedding planners, all of those females that are involved in the space. But we have photography studios, but we also have a podcast studio too. So we have workshop space, conference rooms, beauty stations. So it's really a place that fosters and breeds creativity.
Right. So when they bring in couples, they're not just meeting with them, they could show them some stuff in this creative space. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. What we've kind of limited the showcase that you have. Like you can bring your portfolio, right? And
Yeah.
like a flip book or something, but we like to be able to promote everybody equally.
Yeah.
And be fair among everybody because we have members and females that are involved in the space on a public basis that are I like to call them baby birds, right? So like the ones that maybe haven't shot their first wedding yet, right? Or
Yeah.
still waiting to book their first client. But then we also have veterans that have been involved in the wedding game for like 20, 25 years.
Nice.
So to have one photographer's work on the wall versus the other, like
Yeah.
it just needs to be fair for everybody.
I agree. Makes sense.
We've really focused really hard to try and make that happen, and not favor anybody over the other.
Yeah, that's good. So it's specifically for women, right? So if someone came to you, they were male, you'd be like, hey, you don't really fit in the space.
Well, legally, we can't say that.
Yeah, I know, but
yeah, but we so we have so it's wedding pros, right? So that's where the men can come in, right? Because you've got the DJs this is super stereotypical, but like in general, right?
I
You've
know.
got DJs and limo drivers, and you know what I mean? So
I do.
those men have been involved. Actually, we have a male member. He's a videographer, and he's just fantastic. You know, he kind of just fits into it. It just so happens that our marketing is more geared towards women, and the space is really
So it
great.
attracts more women to the space. Yeah, that makes sense. Totally makes sense.
But if a dude wanted to be involved, I wouldn't turn him away.
Yeah, of course. So what does the cost look like for someone who wants to get into the space, and the other fees and anything like that? What are they?
Yeah. So that's one of the things that we've been really conscious about. I understand that although weddings are expensive, right? And the dollar sign is really high when it comes to weddings, wedding vendors maybe don't make that much, right? I mean, especially if you're just starting your business. So, you know, the larger working spaces and the larger photo studios, like they charge a pretty hefty price tag per hour, per membership, whatever. But for whatever reason, our demographic, you know, we can't necessarily afford those higher price points. So to be a member, it's $95 a month, right? And then if you go to the website, you can kind of see all the really cool things that are involved in your membership, including unlimited co-working space. But then to rent a photo studio would be $59 an hour, and then $75 for a public member. But if you're a member, you get 2 hours included in the photo studios.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So that's really kind of helped with the collaborations of, say, a florist teaming up with a photog who may not be able to afford the studio time, but need pretty pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. So they pay $60. They get in there. Both of them start shooting photos for an hour, and then they got what they need and on their way. Right.
Yeah. That's and then we rent the space out too for workshops and private events and the whole thing.
Yeah. So tell me, let's talk about private events a little bit. You mentioned that you also do for couples coming in, so private events. What does that look like?
Yeah. So if you are looking to host a bridal shower or a baby shower, or I don't know, a small wedding, right? You can come and rent out the whole space. And that is $200 an hour with a minimum of 3 hours. So, and then we would work to help you get the catering in because we don't have a kitchen. So, and then we would help you, you know, put the whole thing together. And it's just a really pretty atmosphere for you to be able to host really anything that you want to, whether it be, you know, a networking event or a think session or.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You guys, I mean, have you thought about like networking events, or think, you know, what you just said, like even just like someone wants to hold a workshop, right? And they want to invite some people in, just have the workshop there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like we have that happen all the time.
That's great.
Last night, a boudoir photographer just rented out the entire space to host a Q&A session. So, and that's a really, really important revenue stream for us. So that's kind of what we focus on. We make sure that we have 4 a month in order to kind of meet our price points.
Yeah. You got to have a plan I mean, you're a business, right? You got to have a plan to stay successful, make profit, and then grow your business, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it just turns out that no matter who walks into the space, because we get a lot of walk-ins, people see a wedding and they automatically assume that we are a wedding boutique or a venue or a planning service, and it turns out that we're not. So no matter who or what category the walk-in it falls into, we can cater to them one way or another.
Yeah. So you wanted to give me a tour of the place?
Sure.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a really big event. We have a bridal show happening this weekend.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. We didn't talk about shows. Now you're having shows too. So tell me about the show.
So we have a bridal show happening this weekend. As a perk for your membership, you get to participate because a lot of the girls have never done a bridal show before. Right?
Yeah. Right.
Or wedding showcase.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's a really intimidating thing. So we have it, and you're surrounded by members, and you're around other creatives that you know, and you've gotten to know. So it's a little bit, it's less scary, right?
Yeah.
So we sold out of tickets, which is really cool.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah, and it's free for couples to attend, but it's also free for our members, and it's a members only type thing. So
that's pretty cool.
we're pretty pumped for it. Yeah. I hope it brings in a lot of potential leads for them.
Yeah, awesome.
So,
well, that's the goal anyway, right?
Yeah, right. Happy wife, happy life, huh?
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. So I'll go ahead and show you the space. You're on my Mac right now. So
Okay.
Okay, so let me back up here. All right, so this space right here, right now it's set up to be, from the private event yesterday, it's set up to be the workshop space. The girls kind of did like a small little meet and greet and the couch right here.
Nice.
And we've got the co-working tables. And then, let me see. So can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, all right. So all of the creative studios are set up to be completely transformable, right? So you rent the space by the hour and you tell us how you want the space set up. So this right here is the conference room. And I mean, you can really see like where we are in terms of
nice.
down Leesburg. But you can rent the space for small meetings. We hold tastings for bakers. And we have something called Sundays are for the bakers, which is bakers get preference or preferential treatment on Sundays. They get first dibs on space for consults when it comes to tastings.
Nice.
So anyway, you can hold your consult here, and instead of being stuck to your 12-inch laptop, you can cast up to smart TV.
Nice.
Yeah, it just helps with planning a little bit. And then this is one of the creative studios. Starting to storm here, but so you can rent this space out, and this space is actually one of their favorites, but we just had a branding session in here earlier.
It's nice space.
Yeah, and the natural lighting is absolutely beautiful. So sorry, I'm trying not to make you sick. So you can probably see Mariah over there. She's co-working. She's one of our everyday
gotcha.
Entrepreneurs that are here.
How big is the space? How many square feet?
Oops, I almost fell. It's a little over 2,200 square feet.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good space.
And then up here, we call this the Nest, but it's another co-working space where you can have or a meeting space where you can have just a tasting. Or a small meeting, or just kind of get away from the craziness, because during the day it totally gets really crazy.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, it's actually a really nice kind of getaway. And then in here, this is our podcast studio. I don't know if you can see it very well.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
So if you rent the podcast studio, you can get the equipment, and we'll kind of help you get everything set up in terms of equipment and podcasting correctly. And it also doubles as a photo studio, or I guess triples as a photo studio or a beauty station.
Nice.
So they really like the photographers really dig the black brick.
Yeah, the black brick's pretty cool, I will say.
Yeah, and then this space in here, this is the, we call it the Daydreamer, but it's rent by the hour beauty stations. So you can rent this space and do trials or, trials, or rent it as a bridal suite too.
Nice.
So it's got beautiful light when it's not raining, but photo sessions. We do a lot of like maternity, boudoir,
nice,
newborn, and yeah, it's just a really nice, safe space for women to come and kind of knock out their creative project and not be intimidated or overwhelmed by the larger photo studios that are in the area. And it's also safe, right? Because if you're doing a boudoir shoot and you got to meet at a hotel or somebody's house, that's kind of scary, right? So here, you know that you're going to be surrounded by women that are safe and supportive, and generally you'll feel comfortable.
That's nice. So all the open space is collaborative space, right? So that's where people can go collaborate meet with their couples, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So you can rent the space online because we have an online reservation system. So
Okay.
you can rent the space online when you want it and how you want it. So you would book the space, and we would make sure that it's set up prior to your booking.
So this, you're pretty much doing setups all day long. I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets pretty tiring. Like after I get off of this with you, we're moving everything out to make sure that it's completely there for the bridal show.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we go
Good.
back in because on Monday we have a bunch of photo shoots.
Yeah. And so the rooms are specifically for like extra space that you would rent separately, right? From your normal space, right? So
Yeah.
like the upstairs area that's open, that's collaborative space.
Mm-hmm.
This is collaborative space that you're in, but the rooms by themselves are extra space that you would rent, right?
Right. And it depends. The price point depends on how you want it, right? So like a beauty station to do a bridal trial is, it's 25 for members, and I'm sorry, 20 for members and then 30 for public. But you can come and then you can rent that space, and then the next hour we'll pull everything out and it'll be a photo studio.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of rearranging, and that's what's so great, right? Like we call it the blank canvas for all creative projects.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's been really cool, kind of just
Yeah.
seeing, the community especially embrace it.
Yeah, well, I think the thing that you don't get with, say, a WeWork or something like that is all the stuff you just talked about, where you're, blank canvas, kind of rearranging to make it what the space needs to be for that particular person or for that particular business, right? I mean, that's the big difference. To me, that's the big differentiator, is that now, well, I mean, then there's photo studios that are set up, but that's what they do. That's all that they do, right? You can take a space and rearrange it however you need to. You want to do a tasting? Great. Here, we'll set it up so you can do a tasting. Want to have a board meeting or a little conference meeting with your friends and people in your business, right? Boom, you've got that, right? You want to do a photo shoot? Want to do a podcast? It's all there.
Now you're getting it.
Yeah.
Literally, that's the summary of exactly what it is.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. I'm glad that you saw that need in the market space. Do you have plans to move out into other spaces? Because this is a great concept.
Yeah, we do. We've had a bunch of investors. So right now we don't have any investors, and we're not looking for investors, because again, like the wedding industry is a really specific model.
It is. It's very niche, right? Very niche.
Yeah.
And it's even nichier within the niche, right?
Yes, exactly. So you need to be able to understand it. And that's why my business partner and I, we get along so well, because he understands money and rules and regulations and stuff, and how to run a business, where I know the industry and the market really well. Right.
Yeah.
So we balance each other out, but at the same time, like when it comes to investors, we don't need it yet. Will we need one? Yeah, maybe. Right. But, and then we've had franchising opportunities as well. But my response is I want to be able to get this one right first, because you've seen so many ideas that have grown so quickly before they figured out the issues, and then they just explode, right? So because this is my baby, like I want to make sure that it's taken care of and all the kinks are worked out before we start to expand. But yeah, I have a plan for this. Is actually just a proof of concept. Originally I have this I still have this idea, and when we did like the think tanks and the focus groups and the one-on-ones to kind of figure out like what each category needs, right?
Yeah.
Because like I'm a graphic designer, I don't know what a hair and makeup girl needs.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? Like, so I was able to have a bunch of focus groups and a whole lot of one-on-ones and be like, okay, well, here's my idea. How does it work? Like, tell me what you need, right? Like what would work based on what your category is, but also how your stage of business, right? Like if you're brand new, if you're a baby bird, you may not need the same things that a veteran needs.
That's right.
In their teenage years, right? With their business.
Yep.
So being able to figure out how not only to do the stage of business, but your type of business all in one space, it is still now taking a lot of kind of like massaging. So, so anyway, yeah, I have a plan. It's to expand this this idea, but originally I wanted to just do my, you know, the end game. I call it my end game, but turns out you can't go to the bank and ask for like $5 million.
Oh, interesting. You can't do that. Yeah.
So that was a hard lesson to learn, but yeah, when we had to put together a business plan, my business partner and I actually took How to Start a Business 101, like
Mm-hmm.
just to like from the very beginning, let's start over, right? And like let's do it from the ground up.
Yeah.
And but we've had a lot of support from the local community. We've had there's an economic development center down the street, and we've used SCORE mentoring. I have a SCORE mentor. We have a business coach, all free. So we've really been utilizing all the free resources to grow this thing.
Yeah. Well, but you guys are helping other businesses grow and cultivate the ability for them to grow their business. And so that means economic development for for the city, right? So yeah, I think that it's highly important that the city and the resources that are in the city help you guys, work through the things and build this concept out. It's great. I was going to mention the franchising thing because I think you're onto something, and I wouldn't wait too far down the road where you say, "Oh, let me figure this all out," because it's still going to be, you're still going to figure things out and fail, or you're going to learn, right? I call failure feedback. So every time something happens, it's just feedback to feedback into it. The quicker you get the feedback into your system, the faster you can make changes. But don't be afraid to just go MVP, which is minimum viable product. Here it is, boom, out the door, then start doing something with it.
Yeah. And it's interesting because everybody that comes into the space, they're like, I live in Richmond. I really want one of these in Richmond, right? So it's on our radar. We just want to make sure that we do it correctly. And I do understand like this idea, like all of the components that go into it, they exist separately, right? Like you have photo studios, you have conference spaces, you have events, all of that. And there are other wedding professional focused creative places, right? Like I get that. But when it comes to the mentoring that we offer, the stylized shoots that we have every month that are member specific, like the education, the workshops, just those type of things, like it doesn't exist anywhere else. So I do understand that we will have replication or copycats or whatever, right? But it's the highest.
There will always be. Yeah.
So yeah, I want to make sure not to wait too long, right? Because we do have, say, a year head start on something like that. But yeah, it's just trying to figure out the best formula, and we've been like super transparent when it comes to members, right? Like, so our members are like our best guinea pigs, where we'll say, okay, membership is really slowed down. Why? Right? Like, what is it that we're missing? And even now, even still, so we bumped up the membership to, I think it was 115, and then membership just stopped. So we pulled it back to 95 and we added the 2 studios, and like we've gotten 15 members in the past 3 weeks, I think.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah, it's always a balance to figure this stuff out, right? And then it costs a heck of a lot of money to expand very quickly. And that was kind of part of the problem with WeWork, right? They expanded extremely quickly. Yeah, I don't even know if they'll survive coming.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
One of the things that we are actually the biggest need that that most recognize, right? So like I'm a mom, I've got 2 kids, and when I was raising my daughters and still trying to grow my business, I would be like assembling invitations and like stuffing a bottle in one of their faces, you know? So like just having that on-site daycare, or, you know, just like as needed childcare for, you know, the planners, and like for them to be able to come and drop off their kids for a couple of hours. So that's kind of the next area that we're exploring.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
that's a really good idea, because people have families and they need a way to do their work and then be able to feel like their kids are going to be okay if they, because mom's not available, or or grandma's not available to take care of it and take care of them for me. So I need somebody to help. So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and that's like that's our biggest feedback is a lot of the women are like, I really want to be a member and I want to participate in this community, but I am raising my babies at home, right?
Yep.
So they don't have the time or, to be able to come out. And so just providing that where maybe it's just a couple of hours a week, right? So
Yep.
that way you can kind of feel like they're moving their business forward without being a nap time warrior. So
I know it's hard.
it is. It's so hard. So we're trying to make it a little bit easier.
That's good. That's great. Barbara, thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate your time.
Of course, of course. I'm glad we were able to chat.
Yes. Thanks. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. I hope that you found it helpful. Please share it with other people. Also, if you're getting married or you work in the wedding industry, I would love to interview and share your information with other people. Send me a text, 520-399-8580, or shoot me an email at letschat@wedding.report.